In North America, there's a state like no other. There's a community that you might not expect to find. After looking, you can find a hip-hop and rap community in Minnesota. Artists trying to make it before time runs out. Because this is a game of high risk, high reward. These are the artists trying to make their living in Minnesota. Finding community in the North Base.
We're now about 2 weeks away from one of the biggest trials in Minnesota history. Leaders are beefing up security as the trial approaches for the first of those 4 former Minneapolis police officers.
The systems, meaning the rules in our lives, have intentionally been designed to leave black people behind.
That starting March 8th, that they closed down the building. The building be closed down for a minimum of 4 weeks.
Leaders are beefing up security as the trial approaches.
They killed George Floyd on trial. So they cutting off the streets, they boarding up the buildings, they calling the National Guard, and everybody got motherfucking big ass plywood everywhere. It's crazy outside right now. So, you know what I'm saying? March 8th, they shutting everything down. So we're gonna have to work from his own.
Plaza, man.
What's good? What's good?
Staring at the city. Me being involved in the music scene and shit like that, you know, I'm always looking. I ain't got no family members in Minnesota. Not one family member, you know what I mean? And so I just go with the flow.
Ashes fell from the cigarette. If I put this shell in my head, would that be a big regret? My nigga said, keep on rhyming, dog, you gon' get this bread. He ended up getting shot down. Now my nigga dead.
Tonight, for the first time, we are hearing from one of the former Minneapolis officers charged in the death of George Floyd.
Security barriers already in place, and this has really just happened within the last day or so. Already 2 different levels here right outside of the Hennepin County Government Center.
Our second roundtable will focus on what is happening now that is different from Ferguson, Eric Garner's death, or any other moment in American history. Once again, leading this panel is award-winning broadcast journalist Soledad O'Brien.
Hey everybody, I'm Soledad O'Brien. Thank you for joining us for this special social event broadcast. Joining me today, YouTube creator Amber Whittington, American civil rights activist Alicia Garza, Black Lives Matter, which you co-founded, and the CEO of We On Records, Minnesota Fats. Minnesota, Alicia mentions that policing in white communities looks very different than it does in black communities.
You don't have adequate, health care. You're sick, you're mad, so you can't pay attention in school. Now you don't have adequate education, so now you can't go out and get a job. And then
is socioeconomic empowerment enough?
I think writing a check or throwing money at a problem is going to handle it. But I think infrastructure is necessary. When you go to the hood and you see a kid who's 10 years old like me, and at 15 or 16 years old, you can have $100,000 in your bedroom from doing things around your neighborhood, whether it's running packs or raking lawns or whatever. This person is a businessman. This person can go out and identify needs, identify wants. Out here, about to do this interview for this YouTube special, hanging out with the people from CNN, about to do this. Got the camera in my face. You have basically your white hip hop and your black hip hop. When it really comes down to the bare bone of the situation, it's mostly black hip hop and white hip hop. So yes, they exist in Minnesota. One is just more structured than the other, I would say. And is the question if there's a market? Most definitely there's a market. There's a market wherever there's a consumer.
I was just trying to
I can sell this to other people. So you shot the video?
Okay, this is the plan.
I'm filming, by the way.
Thank you, appreciate that. So first is April. In April, I'm gonna drop Rhyme Slayer. That's me and Angelo shit. We're gonna put a lot of money in marketing, so like, and it's already got 2 like sync licensing placements from two different songs. So I'm really confident in that project. But so then we got Kindy shit. Are we gonna put Refugee out before off it or what? Or what do you want to do?
I wanted to drop it on 420 originally.
Oh yeah, then we can do that. I bet.
Yeah.
I mean, alright. I mean, it is what it is. I could drop 2 in a month. It doesn't really matter to me.
Some childish shit.
Yeah. And then 4th quarter, I'm gonna drop me and Big Banana's album, which that song is on. It's called Archangel.
Well, my name is Raza, otherwise most people know me as RZ Shahid. I'm a recording artist, songwriter, the owner of Artist Xanadu and AOX Apparel, so you know, got the What's Your Xanadu merch on. So 1/7 of the People's Protection Coalition, the mutual aid that was founded in South Minneapolis over the uprising of last year. So that's a little about me. That's another thing too. I don't market for Minnesota. Like obviously they are my audience, and I think for me, Minnesota, marketing with that comes on my end is more word of mouth, if anything. Like when it comes to marketing, I'm marketing globally. Like if I were to say my Spotify, like USA's there, and then the number 2 is like Russia, and then I got like majority of my listeners really are from other countries as of right now. Obviously Minnesota's still like the top 5 up there, like Minnesota, Chicago, and then LA, stuff like that. But I don't know if it would come from Minnesota alone, because I don't think there's any artists out here that blew up or popped off because of like solely because their city messed with them, and that's now why they're like, Minnesota might be the part to possibly put you on in a sense. Like you might get an audience because you got some buzz, and then maybe you got the buzz here, now people are noticing you're getting buzz in your city, and then people come from other locations, but at the end of the day, it's still revolving around way more than just your city.
And not only that, but we established ourselves on the business side too, in the back office, to be able to do this work on a contractual basis or get funding for it as well. So like we can also pay ourselves while doing the work, which that's not the goal, that's not the intent, you know, but the money could help as well, you know. So I just look at it as like a blessing from God, like God saying like, I gave you this idea, you've been working on it, you truthful with it, and now like all of the fruit and everything from this garden that you've been watering, like you're about to be able to harvest it, you know. And that's the ride I've been on, man.
I remember right before I got pregnant, that was like my manifestation, like God, give me a push, give me something. I hadn't found my purpose in anything. I went to school for fashion, hated it. It didn't work out, and I was actually just getting ready to move back to Georgia and just give up and just kind of do what made me, what I was content with. And then I gave birth to her, and everything just kind of came together on its own, and I think that's really what happens when you find your purpose. So right now I'm just kind of working on my YouTube. Yeah. I'm working on a segment called Black Lifestyle, where I actually get to interact with entrepreneurs, Black entrepreneurs here in Minneapolis. We have a huge community of Black entrepreneurs here. Me and my mom got into a huge conversation because she's like, you're literally out there rioting, doing all this, and your 3-year-old's at home. And I had to have that conversation with her, like, I'm okay as long as I'm fighting for what's right. If I lose my life today, I'm okay with that, as long as that means my daughter, when she's 16, 17, she can go get a job and they don't judge her because of her skin, or they don't judge her because of how her hair is done. If I have to die behind that, then I'm okay with that, and I've made peace with that. And I had to make peace with that, like, and I've never in my life did I have to make peace with that, ever.
Hey, I'm alright. Let me come down here. Everybody make a circle around me, please. Ashes rise from the fire burning. The clock keep on ticking, so I keep the tires turning. I'm working and I'm determined. I'm earning what I'm deserving. I hope that when you meet me, you would treat me just like a person. No, I ain't perfect. That's why I try to stay away from judging. They rather try to understand you than to make assumptions. They saying that my name is buzzing. Just know that I came from nothing. I'm hustling out the struggle. I'm hoping that day is coming. Been feeling like saying fuck it when the times get hard. Like I'm about to rob this bank, somebody drive this car. But then that thought hits my brain like, man, if I get charged, then my daughter won't have a father, cause he behind the bars.
I love Minnesota. This is where I'm from, this is where I was born. You know, the weather doesn't really bother me like that, you know, because I know what comes later. Summertime, we got the best summers here, so you know, you just got to deal with this, and then on the other side it's gonna be beauty. So we ain't got that long, you know, we almost in March. So Southside Minneapolis, and it's a cold day, you know, considering it being 19 degrees. You know, we got to just keep it moving, man. You know, working out, you know, just really staying in the crib is the only way under that heat. You know, doing this, man, you know what I'm saying? We had these popping back in the day, man. You know, these is rare. Southside Action News. You know, shout out to everybody in the south side of Minneapolis, north side too, St. Paul, the whole Twin Cities, man. Showing love, man. You know, it's history, man. And it just shows y'all Minneapolis, Minnesota, St. Paul, everybody, man, has put in a lot of work. Shout out to DJ Francisco as well. You know, I heard they started a museum out in the Bronx. I feel Minneapolis hip-hop has came a long way enough to do something like that. You know, this is just a small part, so don't think that this is everything of Minneapolis hip-hop. You know, this is just a little part of what I got to share, and I know everybody else got their parts.
Well, definitely it's hip hop here. Now, let me say that first and foremost. Like, I met a lot of cats who into the core, the culture. They not just doing it, you know, just because that's what's in right now. So, yeah, it's hip hop here. You got to look for it, because if you don't, if you just, you know, open up the Google, you're going to get a bunch of white boys that do hip-hop. And some of them good. You got, you know, I ain't going to say names, you know, but...
The question, if there's a market, most definitely there's a market. There's a market wherever there's a consumer. You know, the thing about Minnesota is the percentage of people who can value one genre is not as saturated here as it would be somewhere else. I'll give you that in a real clear way. It ain't enough black people here to drive a certain narrative. You know, you could if you were the top of the financial, you know, totem pole, but you're still being oppressed. You still have a, you know, a systematic, situations that are keeping you from being those economical powerhouses that would allow you to build infrastructure to take over shit. That ain't happening here. You know what I'm saying? It's happening in bits and spaces as to where, you know, other people, no matter what color they is, any other person besides black people, they have the tendency to jail within themselves, within our culture. So, you know, they actually use the fact that they are not the native of the culture as a reason to stay together. You know, and I've watched them do that time and time again, and I've cracked that code, and I explain that to my soldiers and my teachers. Hip hop here has a market, rap music here doesn't. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, you can either be in a rap game or the music business. It's up to you. Minnesota Fats.
I don't see a lot of people making money, which I think anybody could agree is not ideal. So in that sense, no, there's not a market. Is there a scene? Is there a plethora? Is there a plethora of artists that are extremely talented? Absolutely. Minnesota has a ton of potential to break through. At the same time, in 2020, I think we got a lot of forefront attention with. Unfortunately, it happened this way with the George Floyd incident. Minnesota was at the forefront of news. It really showed the perseverance and the bravery of a lot of people here, just in terms of standing up for what we believed in. I mean, I think if Minnesota can do that, then why should there be an issue being able to, format themselves in the way of creating a market for music.
Let's go. That's Ricky from WWTV. We're at the Minnesota Sneaker Exchange. The first one, second one technically, but first one we were a part of. Happy to be here. It's gonna be a lot more to go down. It's been a crazy day. Shout out everyone that's came through. Shout out all the vendors. Shout out all the buyers. Shout out all the traders. Everybody.
It's obviously Minnesota has a market. There's people here who enjoy hip hop music. People like MF Doom coming to Minnesota to be a part of something. Like, there's obviously people here that appreciate hip hop. It's just gonna take a rebirth and some time, and it's gonna take the artists to be able to be like wanting to come back here, wanting to do something with this. Because there's people that love hip hop music in every state. So there's definitely more hip hop fans in Minnesota than the rest of the Midwest, excluding Illinois. So like, there's a really strong chance for a mainstream scene here. It's just gonna take time and commitment and faith from the artists. Like, the artists have to believe in their city. They just gotta believe.
One sure shot way to make money in Minnesota, by far. If you have a little bit of popularity, if you have anything, it starts there. It starts there. You build your foundation. I didn't just jump up and move to LA and was like, oh man, like, I'm gonna move, dog, because I hate it here. Nah, it was, I performed in LA for Big Shawn. I stayed there a month. Everybody was, oh, you should move, blah, 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 blah. I'm not even as big as I know I can be yet at the time. I'm like, hell no. Depressed, all that shit, hell no. I'm not moving to LA. I want to solidify myself in my city. That means I'm gonna do as many shows as I possibly. I didn't put a number to it, didn't put a limit to it. Just as many shows that I could until I felt satisfied that motherfuckers here and who the fuck I was. Before I decided to even think about moving, to even gather the funds to even sustain yourself without having a normal job. This shit make it, honestly, like, I can just thinking about it, like, for how it was for me. Like, I felt trapped here, you feel me? Like I was never getting out. I was so, like, not many people know this aspect about me. I don't share a lot of my personal life, but like, I've been suicidal like my whole life, type of deal. So, there was a current time flow where things in my life was just going really bad, like, all the time. And, it just, those thoughts, But being trapped is one of those things, triggering, Being here now, kind of like, I have remnants of it on me, but like, I know I could just go anywhere now. But before you even think about moving to a different state to go try to conquer a different state, you gotta conquer the state that you in. I feel like for Prof hasn't gotten it yet. But Lizzo, early in her career, I feel like that was like, and then that's like I feel like once artists get into their bag, once they got a stream of like success, because success isn't like just, oh, I opened up for Big Shawn, or oh, I opened up for Post Malone. It's like, oh, I performed in front of 15 people, and like Jake Pinats at Green Room saw me perform in front of 15 people. Like, dog, you perform so well in front of 15 people. I want to see you perform in front of 1,500 people. Put me on my first big show, Post Malone. Thank God, like, type shit. Nigga, we was in the dark, so shit, just thinking we were cool, being like, being on tour with our friends, me, Baby Shell, Mini Festo, like, just, we loved it for the love, and that's more than okay too, it's not all about making money for everybody, but if you want to survive and this shit, if you want to feel comfortable, pay your bills, you know, like, yeah, feel good about yourself and your music, I guess, too. It starts with building that foundation.
Change gon' come, got it activated from where I'm from. Blessings follow me everywhere I run. So why would you doubt me when I was just trying to lead the way? Mama told me that change gon' come, got